Alright, what's going on everybody? This is Z33 here, back to a brand new video. Week 8 is officially over for college football. It was an up and down week, I would say. A lot of good games, some good matchups, and one big unfortunate loss for Texas fans. But let's go ahead and kick into it on the two, not just one, top 25 Friday games. We only have at least one, but we got two today. The first one was number 2 Oregon, looking very, very strong, as we know. Beginning of the season, they had their struggles against Idaho. They started the season out as number 3, and then dropped all the way down to like number 8 or 9. And then, of course, they beat Ohio State at home in a top 3 matchup. And I'm honestly really impressed with Oregon. I remember growing up as a kid, middle school, all my friends that played football wanted to go to Oregon because that's when they were at their prime with under Chip Kelly, and they had Michael Thomas, Marcus Mariota, and they were the big time because they had all the cool uniforms, and they are looking good this year. Dylan Gabriel made a genius move to leave Oklahoma and come to Oregon, who is a much better team. So kudos to him on making a very good transfer decision. They win 35-0, so I'm not shocked. Purdue has not won a Big Ten game this year, as one of the 6. Not shocked they blew them out. But the next game was huge. Oklahoma State, one of the teams projected to win the Big 12, is now winless in the Big 12. They are winless. So that means they've lost 3 in a row, which is shocking. Very shocking. And BYU, who was projected not to be very good in Big 12, is now 4-0 and in first place. And they're number 13 in the nation. They were actually down here. As you can see, at the half, they were down 21-14. In that third quarter, they got 14 points. So they pulled it back. They were down by, I think, 4 points. Late game winning touchdown. I think there was 1 second, 2-3 seconds left on the clock. They score a huge touchdown and they win. They keep the unbeaten streak alive, just barely against Oklahoma State. What a win for BYU. Good on them. I remember when Texas was really, really bad and we would host BYU and they would beat us. They are a good football program and they always have been. Very solid program. Taysom Hill, as you know, the Saints guy that can do anything he wants, is from BYU. He was the quarterback and he obliterated Texas back in the day. BYU is looking even stronger than the Big 12 and they could become a mainstay if they keep this up. So kudos to them. Let's keep going here. And here is the unfortunate game. Georgia and Texas. $30-15. What to say about this? Texas gets a stop. They do a flea flicker, which is where it's a fake. Either the running back, and throws it back to the quarterback. Normally you're trying to pass it deep downfield. Georgia State covered it, pulled its defenders back. It was kind of a trick and a trick play. Double trick, essentially, a double bluff. The running back then sneaks out the last second, and he's got yard because all the defenders are going man on man covering the receiver. So there's no one left. So he could probably get got 30 yards. And if he doesn't score a touchdown, he's probably in the 10 or 15 yards. He drops the pass. Texas ends up not scoring. We then give the ball back. We then get an interception, and we don't score again. And they end up scoring on that third possession. So if Texas scores there, it's a totally different game because we're dominating them on defense. We already got a turnover. As I said, Texas needs to force Carson Beck into mistakes and then go score. Similarly to what Alabama did, to where the lead's too big and the momentum's too much for Georgia to come back. Like Georgia came back against Alabama, and Texas could not score. They were scoreless in the first half. It was 23-0. It was probably the worst offensive line performance I've ever seen in a college football game, especially at Texas, because people were raving about the Texas offensive line. Calvin Banks is projected to be one of the top drafts in the NFL draft this year, like top 5 pick maybe. And they're getting smacked. As you can see, Quinn Ewers was 25 of 43 and 211 yards. Arch Manning came in the second half trying to score before the half, and he couldn't do anything. Texas had 4 turnovers this game. I think Georgia had 3, so it was a high turnover game. As you can see, we scored 3 in the third quarter. There was a interception, it's almost a pick six, got down to the 5-yard line, and then they called passing interference, which was the wrong call. Factual, it was a horrible call. The student section for Texas then throws, I would say, north of 100 beers onto the stadium. The head coach, Cesar Kuj, actually walks from his sideline to the up because the Texas bench is on the opposite side of where the student section is. The student section is on the side of the opposing team, the visiting team. He walks across the field and is in there like covered like in the middle of the beers and saying, "Stop throwing shit." They turn the ball over. They turn the call over and correct it. And Kirby Smart obviously is very upset. Even in the post game, he was very upset about it. But Georgia manhandled Texas. Texas could not score whatsoever. I don't know if it was a combination, I think, of the offensive line. Quinn Ewers wasn't stepping up in the pocket. He would back up too much. Wasn't making smart, quick time decisions. He played horrible. Overall, probably the worst game Texas has played in the last 2 to 3 years. I gotta be real with you. It was unbelievably horrible. And I think it's a gut check because Texas was number one. Many people in Texas, including myself, and many people in the entire college football world, thought this Texas was gonna smack Georgia, like by more than like 14, 20 points. A lot of people thought Texas was going to show that, hey, we're the real deal. People were thinking that they're the next 2019 LSU. Were like, they are so good on both sides of the ball that no one can touch them. And they came crashing back down to earth. One of the worst, unbelievable. This is a gut check for Texas and for Texas fans. Like, hey, you guys aren't untouchable. You guys might not even be that good. You got to get back in practice. You got to get back to grinding. Got to get back to work. Prove that you belong. Because, again, 12-team playoff. So if you win out, you're in the playoffs. Maybe even if you win out and lose in the SEC championship, you're probably still in the playoffs. But they got a long road ahead of them. And Georgia is looking very, very strong. People were counting them out after the Alabama loss. But as we know, they came back in that second quarter and were firing on all cylinders. Carson Beck is their weak point by far. But they still have one of the best defenses in the nation. And they are not to be trifled with. They might be still one of the best teams in the nation. Miami and Louisville. Very high scoring game, 52 to 45. In fact, I think at one point in the third quarter, it was like Miami was beating their ass. And then Louisville comes storming back. But eventually, I don't know why I'm mixing up my words. Miami pulls it out. This is why, because Alabama's right here. Alabama and Tennessee. So Alabama goes down again, loses in a thriller versus Tennessee. And you can see at the half, it was 7-0, and then Tennessee comes storming back in the third quarter with 14 points. Alabama had the ball. They elected to go for it. It was supposed to be a 4th and 9, but then there was a contact call. Tennessee player gets in the face of Alabama player. Alabama player then pushes him like in the face, like almost punches him essentially. Now Tennessee guy reacted and tried to hit him back, but he missed. So it was not an offsetting call. So only Alabama got called for it. So instead of a 4th and 9, it was a 4th and 22, and they elected to go for it. They should have gotten it. So it's kind of a bluff. Similar to Texas is that you think they're gonna pass deep, but no, it's a check down to the receiver. To the running back, and then their prime receiver Ryan Williams, who was the breakout freshman, is supposed to block. I guess miscommunication or just mistake on his part. He's still going out like he's trying to go deep for a pass. So his defender, instead of blocking him, just scoots right by him. One-on-one, running back can't make him miss. If he gets that block off, that is an easy first down and maybe 10, 15 more yards. And then maybe they go down and drive and score. Now Tennessee gets the ball back. And Alabama does a great job on defense, holds them to 3 and out. Tennessee gets a field goal. So Alabama gets the ball again, and then Jalen Milroe misses his receiver. He had him. He was double covered, but his speed, he had beat them. So if he throws it, he just missed the pass. He threw it behind him, intercepts it. If he would have thrown it in front of him and he reaches out, first down. Alabama realistically could have put this game in overtime. I don't think that without that interception that Tennessee would stop them. But of course, Milroe again misses. He's 25 of 45. He's his passing. The thing is, you're a quarterback, and if your passing is your weakest point, then yikes. But Alabama falls again. Tennessee 6-1, in control of their own destiny. LSU and Arkansas. People thought this game might be a lot closer. Arkansas is not a team to be written off. They are still really good. They just have heartbreak and they just can't finish games. But this one was not close. 34-10. LSU proves that they are for real a real team. They're 6-1, 3-0 in the SEC. People thought they were going to be not even in the top 4 or 5 of SEC teams this year, and they are looking very, very strong. So good for them. I got some cousins in Louisiana, so happy for them. UCF almost beats Iowa State. In fact, UCF was up, and then Iowa State gets a go-ahead touchdown very, very late, similar to the BYU game, and Iowa State just barely escapes undefeated. They're now also 4-0 after being not ranked. So with BYU, I think they both were not ranked, now undefeated. Virginia and Clemson. Virginia, again, one of those teams that may be better than their record says. Clemson, undefeated. No, they've lost. Sorry, they lost. They got blown out by Georgia, and they've been very good ever since. They win 41-38. Notre Dame, Georgia Tech, as we all know, they started off like 2-3-0. They beat Florida State when Florida State was number 10 in the nation or something. They were ranked for 1 week, and they have not been good. Been very good ever since. But Notre Dame, after that, lost in IU, which looking back, what the hell was that? Pick 6 Notre Dame. They win 31-13. Texas A&M, probably a bit more close for comfort against Mississippi State, who were 1-6 and have not won an SEC game. But A&M finds a way to win. They win by 10, 34-24. They are now 6-1 and also 4-0 in the SEC. Watch out for A&M. They could be dangerous. Nebraska, Indiana. This was one of those games that people were saying upset alert big time. Nebraska, Dylan Raiola, freshman quarterback, supposed to be really, really good. He, as you can see here, throws 3 interceptions, and it is a rout. Indiana remains undefeated. A huge primetime convincing win. We just beat the shit out of Nebraska. It's supposed to be a good team. 56-7. This coach is the real deal. He was the coach at JMU. He has a crazy win percentage, and I didn't think Indiana has ever been good at football ever. I don't know about the deep history of football, but this guy is an incredible coach. Because to be successful in Indiana, it's got to be a hard thing to do. I got to be real with you, but they're 7-0, and man, they're good. They're really good. Kansas State and West Virginia. West Virginia, one of those teams that may be better than the record says, but I don't really know. Kansas State still in control of their own destiny. They are 6-1 still. Avery Johnson, the dual threat of all dual threats. They win 45-18. Auburn and Missouri. Another close game. Auburn is one of those teams that can stay close with you, but they probably won't win. They're 0-4 in the SEC. They're 2-5. Missouri somehow wins. Now, Braden Cook, I forget his name, went out, got an MRI. So he was out for like a half, maybe like 2 halves. I forget how long he was out, but he was out for a while. He comes back from the hospital and wins the game for Missouri. Unbelievable. They're 6-1 and 2 on the SEC, number 19. SMU, another one of those teams, moving to the ACC from a non-Power 5 to a Power 5, and they have dominated ever since. They're 6-1. I don't even know who their loss is to, but they're 3-0 in the ACC. Clemson, better watch out. They just beat Stanford 40-10. They're really, really good, and great for them because they're a Texas team. Illinois and Michigan. This probably was one of those games that people thought were going to be closer. It's not. Illinois' statement win, 21-7. I'm assuming Michigan will no longer be ranked. They're 4-3, ladies and gentlemen, 2-2 in the Big Ten. I said this previously that when Texas went to Michigan and beat the shit out of them, it was like 31-13. I said, statement of fact, this will not be as big as a win at the end of the season. Michigan is not even in the top 5 of the Big Ten, and they probably will not be ranked at the end of the year. And I'm right. Michigan is not a good team this year. That was not as impressive as when you think it is. Army and Navy, still both undefeated. Army beats East Carolina 45-28. And Navy beats Charlotte 51-17. These two teams might go. Now, they both got to play Notre Dame, which I think is both teams can definitely win. If they do that, they will face each other undefeated for the first time maybe ever, and then maybe both get in the college football playoff, or one of them. That would be insane. Also, the price for these tickets is outrageously high right now. But let's go ahead and go into the rankings and see what has shaken up. Obviously, Texas drops. So Oregon, now in number 1. They have not been at number 1 in a long time, but here they are. Georgia back up at number 2, rightfully so. Penn State stays at 3. Ohio State stays at 4. Texas drops down 4, number 5. I think they should drop down a bit more. I would say after that performance, I would say drop them to 8, just above Clemson. Because Clemson got blown up by Georgia, and Texas did get manhandled. They didn't get blown out by Georgia. So I would move Texas all the way down to number 8 after that performance. Miami undefeated at 6. I think because their games are so close. Like every game is so close. Tennessee at 7, up 4. So back in the top 10 for Tennessee. LSU is number 8. Clemson is at number 1. Sorry, at number 9. They move up 1. Iowa State down 1, still in the top 10. BYU just outside the top 10 at 11. Notre Dame stays at 12. Indiana is up 3 to 13. Probably their highest ranking maybe ever. I don't know. Or in a long, long time. A&M stays at 14. Alabama drops 8 to 15. That's got to be one of their lowest rankings in a long, 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 long time. I think it's their first time losing 2 games in a certain amount of span since 2007. So since Nick Saban took over, which is insane. So a lot of people are making fun of Alabama right now, saying that it's already over, but it's super hard. Like I think Nick Saban's first year at Alabama, he was like what 5-7. People are saying, oh well, he was given a dumpster fire team, but it's still hard. It's still really hard. I think Kevin DeBoer is still a great coach. But the SEC is just so strong, so we'll see what happens. Kansas State up 1. They're number 16. Boise State down 2. Surprisingly, they're at 17. I think they had a bye week. Ole Miss stays at 18. Pittsburgh up 1, undefeated. At number 19. Illinois only up 2 after that big win. They're at 20. Missouri down 2 still, despite winning at 21. Again, they almost got beat by Auburn. SMU down 1 as well, even though they blew someone out at 22. Army and Navy sitting at 23 and 24. And for the first time since 2015, Vanderbilt is now ranked. They're 5-2 at 25. Michigan dropped down. Washington State is just outside. So is Syracuse. Duke, I think, as we know, no longer undefeated. Same with UNLV. They lost. Washington State, though. South Carolina at... Wow, they got to vote for top 25. That's weird. Liberty is undefeated. They're such a small school, they probably won't get ranked to the end of the season if they're undefeated. Let's go ahead and... Real quick, let's look at the stats. Real quick, Kenmore is still at number 1. Not a lot of shakeup there. After a bye week, Genty is still 200 yards away from anyone else. Bryson Daly is a quarterback, by the way, and he's number 3. That is insane. Let's go ahead and go back, not the standings. The schedule. No, scores. Excuse me. Let's go to week 9, see what we got coming up for us next week. Syracuse and Pittsburgh. This right here is, excuse me, 100% a red hot upset alert right here. This might be Pittsburgh's first loss of the season against Syracuse. Kyle McCord, as we know, is the transfer from Ohio State. Only lost 1 game with Ohio State. And has now only lost 1 game with Syracuse. They are a very, very good team. See if Pittsburgh can pull it out. Boise State and UNLV, 2 6-1, 2 one-loss teams, 2 pretty good teams. Can Genty carry his team to victory here? It's going to be Boise State's toughest opponent since obviously Oregon, which they almost beat, and they probably could have. Texas playing Vanderbilt. Now, as we know, Vanderbilt can beat Alabama. So they can beat Alabama, they can beat Texas. I think this will be... Here's the thing. It's going to be a super tight, close game. or Texas is going to get revenge and make a statement after losing to Georgia and beat the dog shit out of these dudes. One of those two is going to happen. Nebraska, Ohio State, that should be an absolute blowout, but you never know. Nebraska, Ohio State could have a bad game. That's probably a good game. You never know. You really never know. But that should be a blowout. Notre Dame at Navy. Here we go. I think our Army plays the next week or a couple weeks after that. Navy and Army both have to go through Notre Dame. Personally, I'm going to pull for Navy to win. Notre Dame has a spread, however. See, Texas is favored by 18. Ohio State is favored by 25. Boise State's favored 2. Pittsburgh only is favored by 4.5. But Notre Dame, surprisingly favored by 13.5, so almost 2 touchdowns. I think Navy's going to pull up the upset here, and I hope they do. I really, really do. Washington and Indiana. Washington, another one of those teams that is not too bad. Better than the record proves. So Indiana, another one of those games where it could be an upset. Again, Indiana is only favored by not even touchdown against a 4-3 team. I think Indiana is going to another game where Indiana is going to prove themselves that they are the real deal and probably blow out Washington. That's what I hope happens. Oklahoma having a shit fest, 1-3, 4-3. They absolutely suck. I'm telling you right now that coming to the SEC with Texas was a mistake. They're going to become a bottom feeder program. They're not going to be good for the next decade or more. They're going to suck. They're going to be up there with like Auburn and Arkansas and South Carolina, where they're one of the worst. They get shit on by all the top tier SEC teams. Ole Miss needs to win this game, and they need to win it convincingly because they have to win out if they want to get in the playoffs. They got to win out, which I don't think they're going to do. They're 1-2 right now in the SEC. Illinois and Oregon, another huge test for Oregon. Big one. They beat Ohio State. How did they handle being the number one team in the nation? How do they handle it? Do they think too highly of themselves, similar to like Texas, and downplay opponents? I think not. I think Oregon's gonna have a really good game here and probably make a statement against Illinois here. BYU and UCF should be an upset. Should be a blowout. UCF almost upset somebody, almost beat Iowa State. But I think BYU is better than Iowa State. So Missouri and Alabama. This is a big one. Really, really big one for Alabama. They gotta win this game. If they don't win this game, they fall to 5-3 and might be out of the top 25. Same with Missouri. If they don't win this game, they probably won't make the playoffs, and they definitely won't win the SEC. So this is a big game for both programs for sure. Florida State and Miami. Florida State lost last week to Duke. It was the first time in program history that Florida State lost to Duke. They are 1-6 and 1-5 in the ACC after being in the top 10. Miami hopefully and should blow the door breaks off this team. Penn State and Wisconsin. Again, Wisconsin is not that bad. Penn State's only favored by 6 points. Look at this. Miami's favored by 21 points. Alabama's favored here by 14. BYU is only favored by 1.5, not even 2 points. Upset alert right here, but I think Penn State will pull it out. They're a good team. LSU and A&M. This is a big one in College Station. This is going to be really, really big. If A&M wins this game, it is a statement for A&M saying that hey, we can win the SEC. If A&M wins this game, they're saying, hey, we can win, and we can go to the playoffs and make some damage. Same with LSU. If they win this game, it's a statement win on the road. So, huge game right here. Probably going to be the game of the week. Let me see. Yeah. Unless it's this one, there's no way that this isn't the game of the week right here. Kansas and Kansas State, the in-state rivalry. Kansas sucks. Kansas State should blow them out, but you never know. Duke and SMU. This is another one of those games where it is a potential upset alert. Malik Murphy, as we know, played at Texas, transferred to Duke. He has them at 6-1. Impressive for them. SMU's favored by 11, so some really, really good games next week. So we'll see what happens. Anyways, if you enjoyed the video, leave a like, subscribe for more content. If you haven't already, be sure to go check out my NCAA Football 25 college football. I am doing it Hawaii Dynasty in our second year. Check those videos out too. I also have a Twitch live. I live stream all my video games if you want to go hang out and chat with me. That being said, again, thank you for all the support. See through signing out. Stay frosty.